turn to the 16th chapter of Acts.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to read this thing together. I don't ask you to read much, but there's a reason why I want you to read today. Starting with verse 16. Acts chapter 16, starting at 16. All right, I ain't gonna leave. I promise you, I ain't gonna leave. Acts 16:16. Let us start at verse 16 together. And it came to pass, as we went to the prayer, certain Jesus, the same Paul and us, these men are the servants of the Most High God, who showed us the way which He has fashioned. And they did Jesus many days, all being agreed, and said to the Spirit, I command you in the name of Jesus Christ to come out of the way. And he came out at the same time. And when the master saw that he had began to go out, they caught all his eyes and drew him into the marketplace unto the rulers, and brought them to the magistrates, saying, These men, being Jews, receive the trial I speak, and teach us to not all of us to receive, and give us certain being alms. And the multitude rose up together and the magistrates ran off their clothes, and commanded to be hanged. And when they had laid Jesus Christ upon them, they asked him to praises, Father, to keep us safe. Who has received such a charge, thrust them into the prison, and made their feet fast with stocks. And at midnight, Paul and Silas prayed, and sang praise unto God, and the prison heard them. And suddenly there was a great earthquake, so that the foundation of the prison was shaken. And immediately all the doors were opened, and everyone's hands were loosed. All right, we're going to stop right there. I'm sorry. We needed those 10 verses because today I want to talk about getting into some good trouble. Getting into some good trouble. Now, I think we got the bad trouble down pat. But good trouble. Getting into some good trouble. You know, when I read this story, it kind of, you can see the same thing that happened then, today. Just in another way, but it's still here. And still, Jesus is still looking for a few Christians that don't mind getting into some good trouble. When you read this story, you had a woman that had an evil spirit in her. And because she had this evil spirit in her, it caused her to act out. Some of us have evil spirits in us still to today. And it causes us to act out. I look at something that says, because the people were entertained by her. And it's amazing. Nobody stopped what they were doing to even try to help her. that you in need of prayer and won't even help. It's bad when folks know that you are standing in the need of prayer and will not part their lips to pray for you. We got it down pat, folks will pray on you. But for some reason, they have a hard time of praying for you. Paul and Silas were spreading the gospel. Came across this young woman, realized that she was standing in the need of prayer. And without any hesitation, the story says Paul commanded that the evil spirit come out of her. And the evil spirit came out of her. It's good to know that even in times like this, there are still a few believers that'll stop what they're doing to come see about you. It's good to see that even still to the day, you got some folks that are willing to stop what they're doing to turn around and pray for somebody else. It's good to see that you still got some folks that's not ashamed to publicly pray when they see a person going through a storm. We might as well learn how to pray in public. We do everything else in public. When your team scores, you shout in public. If you win some money at the casino, you scream in public. When you are at a barbecue, you party in public. But when you see somebody in the need of prayer, we tend to not want to pray for them in public. Something is wrong with this picture. We can do everything in public that is wrong, but refuse to do something in public that is right. I don't know about y'all, but is there anybody that have to pray on the job in public? Is there anybody that have to pray for family in public? Is there anybody besides me got some folks that know that you are a praying person when they see you? See, one thing about a praying person can't be scared to talk to the master. It was David that said that man should always pray. And the problem with us, Deacon Gamble, is sometimes we don't tend to pray until we asking God for something. Just the mere fact that you woke up this morning, you ought to pray. Just the mere fact that you ate something this morning, you ought to pray. Just the mere fact that you made it into the house of God one more time, you ought to be able to publicly pray. If the Lord has done something for you last week, you should be able to publicly shout. If the Lord has brought you from a mighty long way, you should be able to publicly express yourself. David said in Psalms 102 and 7, it says, let the redeemed of the Lord say so. So if God has done anything for you, you ought to be the first ones to say so. I get it. I might not be the one to fix all of your problems. But I talk to a man that can handle your problems and you. I might not have the answers in my mouth, but I know a man that's got the answers in the palm of his hands. I know my doctor clocks out at 4 o'clock, but I know a doctor that is never off the clock. I know I might not always have soothing words, but I know the one that's always able to soothe my spirit. I know I might not be the one to make things easy for you, but I know that one that don't mind going down in the valley to get you. I might not be the one to keep the enemies off of you, but I know that man that said, no weapons formed against you shall prosper. I might not answer the phone when you call, but I know that one that has never dodged a phone call. As a matter of fact, I heard somebody say he may not come when you want him, but I found out he's always right on time. I don't mind getting in some good trouble. Now, good trouble was sent to jail. And they were accused of causing trouble in the city. That's what the Bible says. They were brought before leaders. And the leaders commanded that they be whipped for causing good trouble. I see right now in 2020, the Lord is still looking for some folks that don't mind getting in good trouble. We ain't being locked up no more. We being talked about. When you see somebody in need, you got to ask yourself, am I going to be the one to pray for them? Or am I going to join them and pray on them? Doing the right things comes with some consequences. Let me remind, I ain't got to go too far back. Let's just go back to this pandemic that started. I'm going to show you something, right? It ain't going to be, it's not funny, but it's funny, but it's not funny. Watch this. The pandemic hit. First thing they came in was the church. The church ain't open but 2 days a week. And 90% only go 1 day a week. They said no more than 10 people in the church. Y'all heard it. I ain't no one. But my drunk governor, I don't care if you work for, I said, got on national TV and deemed the ABC store an essential business. Walk with me now, walk with me. They said you can't have but 10 people in the church. But their arms were twisted when they told the casinos they had to shut down. They waited to the last minute of the last hour before they regulated the casinos and the nightclubs. Walmart told them to take their rules and they threw them clean out the window. Here it is, Walmart was deemed an essential business because we got to go there to get food. Have I got a witness in here? But the church was not deemed an essential business. And this is where we come to get our souls fed. This is where I come in here to be reminded that this is the day that the Lord has made. This is the place that I come when I have to have somebody that believes in the same God to pray for me. Even when I'm having a bad week, I might need somebody that know the man to get one through for me. And you telling me that I can't have but 10 people in this building. I didn't mind getting in good trouble. We kept having church then, we're going to keep having church now. One thing about it, I look around, I was riding around town. Lowe's wasn't taking no head count. Home Depot didn't take no head count. Winn-Dixie didn't take no head count. The banks didn't take no head count. The liquor store didn't take no head count. But the church had to take a head count. Lord have mercy. And then they said that alcohol was an essential business. So let me get this straight. It's important to get drunk, but it's not important to pray. Y'all walk this thing with me. It's important to go to the casino and test your luck, but it's not important to come into the house with other baptized believers that believe in a higher power than a governor, that believe in a higher power than your president, that believe in a higher love. It is an essential business to run a liquor store, gamble, but it's wrong. And let me show you something. When I asked you, are you willing to pay the price, I asked it for a reason, because you got other folks out there that ain't got the good sense God gave them, that will turn their nose up at you for going to church, and 9 times out of 10, it's coming from folks that have never been in a church, active in a church, trying to tell the church how to run. I caught so many dirty looks, I got in a lot of good trouble. And I showed them. I made sure we kept that thing running. I want you to see it every Sunday. We're going to be back here again next week. getting in some more good trouble. Because I still believe that the Lord has got this thing in the palm of his hands. While y'all are playing around with a vaccine, I know the one that's going to make the vaccine. While y'all playing around with these crazy solutions, I know the one that's going to fix this thing. I can't run from this thing. If I catch it, I know who to go to. I want to go to the one that's got those healing hands. The one that has never lost a patient. I don't mind getting in some good trouble. I don't mind being talked about like a dog because I got in some good trouble, but I want to keep my hand in the master's hand. You got to be willing to stand on the Lord's side when the numbers ain't on you in your face. There was a song that they used to sing called Be Encouraged. No matter what's going on. The songwriter said he'll make it all right. But you got to stay strong. They end the verse with saying, be encouraged. When stuff happens, we got to learn how to stay on God's side. Yeah. I heard about a pandemic, but I know the person that allowed the pandemic. I really don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I know the one who holds tomorrow. I'm not really worried about what happened to me, but just as long as I'm in his hands, I'm in the best hands I can possibly be in. On this side, when you're standing on God's side, you got to be prepared to get knocked down. You got to be strong enough to deal with the folks talking about you. They call it constructive criticism. I just say you're bumping your guards because I can't speak for them. But I've got a made up mind that I'm going to serve the Lord until I die. Here it is. They prayed and they sang hymns. It's in the book. They said Paul and Silas were beaten. And then they were thrown into prison. Now, a lot of us give up on God when things get hard. The boss man walk by you, y'all start praying because the boss man walked by you. Anything, I'm going to tell them to come and join in this prayer with me. Because I'm quite sure you got some problems in your life right now. But here it is. You got to be able to stand on God's side in spite of, and I like what this guy did. The Bible said that they prayed and they sang hymns. Now get this, they said everyone heard, and that means they made a joyful noise in prison. Now, I have been locked up a fair share of times, and you know what? I went in there singing, Lord, come get me. I was saying, Mama, come get me. Oh, don't say it. I know some of y'all have been in there too. Y'all have had y'all around the right way. Don't look at women no any kind of way. Deacon Powell ain't the only one. I ain't the only one he deserves some bad news to. But look at what the Bible said they did. And you know what? Sometimes God got to put you in there in order to get a praise out you. That's why so many brothers come out talking about an Oklahoma Lincoln. They done ran out of everything else to call. So they ain't got no choice but to call on the Lord. But isn't it amazing? Even in purgatory while they're locked up, they got to, after they've been beaten, you would have thought they wouldn't have sung another hymn. You thought they wouldn't have prayed another prayer. Now you done gotten in trouble for praying for this young lady, and the Bible says she fallen. The reason why they got mad is because they couldn't make no more money off of her. When you healed her, you cut off their money supply. They were having fun making money off of this girl that was possessed by a spirit. And you know, if I got locked up now, oh, my song would be different. Is there anybody in here that would say, though the storms keep on raging in my life, and sometimes it'll be hard to tell your night from day, but still that hope that lies ahead is reassured. As I keep my eyes open on the distant and sure. I know he'll lead me safely to that blessed place he has prepared. You know, every now and then you have to remind the devil when the storms are raging in your life that your soul is still going to stay anchored in the Lord. When your soul is anchored in the Lord, you don't mind getting into good trouble. And when you find yourself in good trouble, you still find yourself having a worship service, even if you're having it by yourself. Paul and Silas had a made-up mind that no matter how many times they got whipped, no matter how many chains you put on their legs, no matter whatever you did to them, that absolutely nothing was going to take them away from the love of God. I stopped by to tell somebody today, if you don't mind getting in good trouble, you ought to be able to show some signs. You ought to be able to show signs not only in the church, but show it out there in the streets. There ought to be some type of sign shown on the job. When folks see you coming, they ought to know whose side you're on. When folks see you coming, they ought to be able to hear a good song in your heart. When you pass folks that are going through some storms, you ought to be able to keep a good prayer in your heart. And you ought to be able to let the world know that I still pray to the one that turned water into wine. I still pray to the one that raised the dead. I still pray to the one that gave sight to the blind. I still pray to the one that healed the 10 lepers. I still pray to the one that's a rock in a weary land. I still pray to the one that's a shepherd in a time of storm. I still pray to the one that is able to make a way out of no way. I still pray to the one that came down 42 generations, bore the wooden cross on his shoulders, hung there and died for the remission of my sins. I still pray for the one that they hung high and they stretched wide. I still pray to the one that dropped his head in the locks of his shoulders and he died. But that's not how the story ends. I still pray to the one that was put in a borrowed tomb. He laid there on the first day. He laid there on the second day. But early on that third day, I still pray to the one that got up with all power in his hands. Because when he got up, my healing got up. My Redeemer got up. My Waymaker got up. My Lily in the Valley got up. My health got up. I still don't mind getting in good trouble because I still know that good trouble is going to pay off after a while. If the Lord has done anything for you and you don't mind getting in good trouble, you ought to be able to say yes. If God has done anything for you, you ought to be able to just praise Him right now. I don't care what the world says. I'm going to keep my hand in God's hand. I'm going to keep my hand in God's unchanging hand because He's been so good to me. I know if He did it before, He can still do it again. He's able to make my bad days good. That's why the songwriter says, I've had some good days and I've had some bad days. But even in my bad days, God is still good. Is there anybody that still don't mind getting in some good trouble? When trouble answer is still the same. Jesus. If you got problems in your house, Jesus. You got problems on the job, Jesus. As you go back and forth and you run across people, you never know what God's going to send your way. Don't worry about what the world say. They ain't got, let me tell you something. They lost. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. When I live in a world where you're telling me killing babies is okay, and you still love God, oh, you got problems. When you're telling me whooping my child can get me locked up, oh, you in trouble. When you're telling me that God's words can be compromised, you got problems. When you got disobedient folks in your home and they went astray, and you scared to chastise, you scared to tell them what's right, you got problems. I still don't mind getting in good trouble. I'm still going to continue to tell kids you got to honor your mother and your father. I still don't mind getting in good trouble. I don't mind telling men you still got to take care of your kids. I don't care what goes on between you and that woman. I still believe in getting in good trouble. I still tell folks that a man and a man ain't supposed to be married. I still believe in getting in good trouble. No matter which way the world goes, I'm going to stand on God's word. I don't care if it's popular, unpopular, I'm going to stay on God's word. If you want to file a lawsuit for discrimination, file. But I know a God that's able to still make ways out of no way. Every now and then, everybody in here got to check themselves. How many of y'all are still willing to get in some good trouble? Because one day, you hear me well, you got to leave here. Don't come telling me what you like, what you feel. I feel a lot of stuff. But if it ain't right, it's just not right. We got a corrupt world. These kids ain't bad. Y'all just stop raising. That's what done happened. We done stopped raising. And we got to stop going in the ways of the world. It used to be a time the church led the way. Now the church that took the seat. You letting the world lead the way. You can't make me feel bad for coming to church. If anything, I feel bad that you didn't enjoy it. You ain't gonna stop me from praying for somebody that's in need. You ain't gonna stop me from healing a person right from wrong. And I'm gonna keep telling a dying word that Jesus came to redeem all mankind. The doors of the church is open. Don't be afraid to get in some good trouble. Good trouble ain't always all that bad. Storms keep on raging and